Have you ever tried to write some code only to be met with frustrating errors? It can be really annoying, right? If you're struggling with initializing a list of strings in C++11, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to tackle this issue together. I completely understand how it feels when your code just won't work, especially when you're following examples and still getting errors. You're definitely not alone in this. Many developers face similar challenges. Let's dive into the specific question at hand. One user asked, "Why am I getting errors when trying to initialize a list of strings in C++11?" They mentioned that they were using a specific syntax and were confused about the constructor requirement. Sound familiar? Let's break it down. So what's going wrong here? In C++11, initializing a list requires a specific syntax. The error message indicates that the list must be initialized using a constructor, not with curly braces. We'll clarify this step by step. And stick around. At the end, I have a great tip that will help you avoid similar issues in the future. To achieve the proper initialization of a list of strings in C++11, the user should start by using the correct syntax for initializing the list. Next, the user should modify their loop that attempts to access elements of the list. Since lists in C++ do not support array-like indexing, a different method is necessary. Additionally, the user should ensure the list is properly included in the code. They need to include both the string and list libraries at the beginning of the program. Finally, the user should correctly compile the program to avoid any issues. Make sure to use a C++11 compliant compiler. Fun fact, did you know that C++ was created in 1979? It's amazing how far programming languages have come since then, but some of these quirks can still trip us up. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by another user is to use vectors instead of lists. They point out that lists in C++ are doubly linked lists, which means you cannot access elements using the square brackets. Instead, they recommend initializing a vector of strings. Additionally, they remind us to ensure that we are compiling with C++11, not C++98, to avoid compatibility issues. Now, let's shift our focus to a different response. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests simply copying the contents of one list into another list. This approach can help resolve the initialization issue you encountered. Here's a pro tip. Always check the syntax requirements for the version of C++ you are using. This can save you a lot of time and headaches when coding. And there you have it. You should now be able to initialize a list of strings in C++11 without any issues. Remember, coding is all about learning from mistakes. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.